person, a sluggard, okay? I went past the field, the property of the sluggard. So the sluggard had some property. He was given some resources here. Past the vineyard of the man who lacks judgment. Now it's interesting that it combines these two phrases. It says that the sluggard is also a man who lacks judgment. Thorns had come up everywhere, and the ground was covered with weeds. Ground that had potential, Jesse. Ground that could have been growing things. Ground that could have been bringing into himself and to his family, to his friends, to his neighbors, to his world. Okay? The ground was covered with weeds, and the stone wall was in ruins. And the writer here said, I applied my heart to what I observed. And let me challenge you, every time you see something, everything, especially when you're in the Word of God, make sure you apply your heart to what you have heard. It's not good enough just to hear it, okay? We want to say, God, what do we have? That's my glasses. I got myself, but I couldn't see them down there. I applied my heart to what I observed and learned a lesson, it says, from what I saw. And here's what the writer said. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Oh, I've heard that before. I've heard it misquoted before when people were trying to be nice and eloquent at funerals. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. As if that's just some type of thing we throw out. But look what the writer of Proverbs says here. It says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a bandit, and scarcity like an armed bandit. Do. Do is an active word. It's hard to sit down and do. It's hard to lay down and do. It's hard to turn off your mind and do. Look at Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6, if you will. And there's another illustration here, and one involving an ant. The little simple ant, the ants that crawl on the ground. And I always love coming to New Life because there's always animals here. I know the one lady, I forget what her name is, but she always brings her dog. We've got a Dalmatian here today. This is so awesome. You know, Francis of Assisi used to preach to the birds. And they say that, no, really, they say that he could walk into a pack of birds and he would preach about Jesus to the birds, and the birds wouldn't fly away, and they would listen to him. And I thought, wow. I preached to some jailbirds, but I've never to birds. Never birds. I preached to some bums, but never birds. I mean, I don't mean you guys. I'm talking other people. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 6. Go to the ant. Consider the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways, and if we consider her ways, we will be wise. My son just started an ant farm recently. It's this plastic dome. Looks like something you keep a cake under to keep the flies out. And we ordered it online, and it came in, and we poured the ants in there, and we put the ant food in there. And so all day long, we can watch these ants, and it's amazing. I can get up at midnight and go into the kitchen, you know, to make sure nobody is eating anything. And those ants will be working constantly. And I don't know what they're doing. They're trapped in this globe. But they're finding a reason to move one thing from here to here and set up another thing. The Bible teaches us wisdom for life. The Bible's wisdom is not just about one day in the sweet by and by in heaven and glory land and Beulah land, whatever you want to call it. But the Bible teaches us wisdom for life that applies to us today. And it teaches us right here that we need to be people who are active. If you want to be wise, listen to this. Go to the ant, thou sluggard, and consider her ways and be wise. So when you consider that the ant is moving, is busy, right, see, point proven. I was waiting for the other puppy. I felt we only had one, and I said we need at least two to have a pair. Chiquita. Hi, Chiquita. And this is, which one is this?
This is Papa Son.
Papa Son. Okay.
His baby was Papa Son.
You give it a different name every day. Why not? Oh, it's up to the dog now. All right. That's right. I knew a little child should leave them. I never heard a Dalmatian show. But anyway, no. It's good. It's great. But listen, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. So when we look at the motion of the ant, the do of the ant, we learn that we need to be people who are doing. Now this is all going to make sense to us in just a second. Number 2, we had do, now we've got do what? Do what? Matthew chapter 8, verse 22. Matthew chapter 8, verse 22. Jesus said unto him, follow me, and let the dead bury the dead. Tough verse. Follow me and let the dead bury the dead. What do I take from this? I take that Jesus was speaking to us and he said, you need to do, but you need to do the important things. The problem is most of us spend most of our life doing the unimportant, the unnecessary, and we leave the important things undone. I read a book one time by Stephen Covey called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Has anybody read that book? Okay, good, both of us, so you'll know what I'm talking about today. Stephen says all of life is divided into 4 categories. And if he were here today, he would go over to that whiteboard over there and he would have prepared, he would have had a marker with him, and he would have made a big cross across that board, and he would have said all of life is divided into 4 categories. The first category is the urgent and important. Urgent and important. I want you to think right now of something in your life that's both urgent and really important. Really important. Okay? Then he said there's another category. It's the important but not urgent. Do you have something you can think of that's important but you don't have to do it the minute we leave the church? Okay? Then he said that you have the urgent but unimportant. Do you have anything that people are plugging? You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this, and it's not important, but yet they're pushing you to do it. Maybe it's not just them. Maybe it's you pushing you in your mind. I can create a lot of things that are unimportant, but I feel that they're urgent. I sometimes ask my wife to look at my to-do list just so she can help me determine what is the things that I've said are urgent and important and what really are. And then he said the 4th category is the unimportant and unurgent. He made this observation. He said, as you look at man, you see that most of us spend most of our time doing the unimportant, urgent, and the unimportant, not urgent. And we never get the important stuff done. You know, the Bible is saying Jesus spoke so much about making sure we are doing things that are treasure-filled, that are laying up our treasure in heaven, that are doing the important things. Jesus said, yes, you got to do these things, but you don't want to forget the things of love, and you don't want to forget the things of people, and you don't want to forget the things of caring. You don't want to forget to do the things that are actually preparing for another place. Jeannie, I'm going to get a t-shirt that says you only go around twice in life. You know, and isn't that the truth? We only go around twice in life. We're all given a time here. 70 or so years God said we'd be given here. And then all of eternity. And all of eternity is based on what we do with it here. And Jesus is saying, not because he's wanting to browbeat us. And I get up here, let me tell you, I can preach from the Word in 10 minutes more than I can live out in a year. Okay, so understand, when I'm speaking to you today, I'm speaking to me too. I'm the biggest, this is for me, okay? Jesus is saying, do the important things. Now let me say, important things are not always the busy work. Sometimes the important things are sitting down with our spouse and saying, I love you, I care. Sometimes the important things are making sure that our children know how much we believe in them. Sometimes the important things are stopping on the side of the road to give that person a ride who you don't even know. But somehow God said, stop. So you stop. And a miracle takes place because we do the important things. Now, I said first we have do, right? We have do. Then we have do what. And then we have do what? When. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 27 says this. Just as a man is destined to die once, and after that, we are to face a judgment. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 1 and 2 says this. We then, as workers together with him, workers together with God, okay? Paul, who we believe wrote this book here, is saying, we then as workers together with God, beseech you that you do not receive the grace of God in vain.